What's up guys, with the JoJo Part 5 anime going strong, I thought it would be a great idea to discuss every stand that is on Part 5 as a whole and give my own opinions on it. What do I like or dislike about the stands, how do I feel about the stand's ability, the stand's design, the stand's usage, like aka the fight that it was used on, and etc. Before we begin this video seriously, please go check out my boy PlatinumConnor, who has been helping with an editing for this video and a couple of edits for another video on my channel. He's really cool. I really like his style of editing and he's been helping me to get these videos as fast as possible for you guys. If you want to support him, he makes JoJo stuff. I will leave a link to his YouTube channel in the description below. Please go check him out. He's great. Let's get into it. We will go with the stands and their appearance in chronological order. The first stand to appear in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures Part 5 was Echoes, which I'm not going to discuss in this video, but if I ever get around to do a video about the same topic but from Part 4, I will discuss it. Next, we have Gold Experience, the ability of the main JoJo, well, JoJo in this case, Giovanna. I think that easily Gold Experience is the most unique stand ability in JoJo. No, I don't mean the whole of JoJo, I mean from the main JoJos. Tusk is a pretty unique ability, so is Soft and Wet. I will even give Jolene's stands a shout out, but Giona's ability has so much potential that gets explored later into the part, but it's not just that. It's not about the power, but it's more about the way that Giorno uses it. I also really like the design as well. It really reminds me of Dio, but at the same time something special about it which gives me life to Giorno. I really like Gold Experience. It's one of my favorite JoJo stands, like main JoJo stands. Sticky Fingers is Bruno's ability, and believe it or not, it's my favorite stand from JoJo's Bizarre Adventures Part 5. As I explained on my favorite stands video that I did for 1000 subscribers special, I love the design, I love the way that Bruno uses it, and most of everything we have seen from this stand, I like just to think what I will do if I have this stand, which makes me really happy because it's a really fun stand to mess around. And the art that artists or fan artists that make of this stand's abilities and just all around are some of the best I've seen in JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, so I really like this stand. This got a hard pass from me because I love it. Next up we have the stand of the Shadows, Black Sabbath, which surprisingly enough was also one of the 2 Part 5 stands that got included into my favorite stands in JoJo video from my 1000 subscribers special, as I mentioned before. The reason I like Black Sabbath is the importance to the gang, which is arguably the second biggest after King Crimson. Also, the reason I really like Black Sabbath is the thematics of it. So the shadows, the way it moves in the shadows, the way it's controlled in the shadows, and most importantly of them all, I love the reference to the music, because it's actually one of, if not the only ability that I showed to my dad, and he was like, hey, that looks like Black Sabbath. He actually guessed it, I'm not joking, like, that just made me like emotional for a second. At the same time, it's just an amazing stand. I love it. Oh well, as well I shall mention that design, which is really cool as well. Next up we have Moody Blues, which is one of my favorite stands from Part 5 as well. Maybe it doesn't make the list as one of my favorites, but I love it as well. It's one of those stands that I would generally like to have in real life, because I would basically be the greatest detective alive, because I can just replay everything, and on top of that it has a really cool design. My favorite feature of this stand is that you can just have a picture and the stand can replay the moment that the picture was taken. That is great thinking to put into an ability, and Araki just proved to me that his writing is great. Yes, I'm not joking, that literally proved to me a lot that Araki thinks about the power system as much as he thinks about the characterization of the characters, which makes me happy too because I love JoJo. Next up we have Soft Machine, which is the first stand that I'm gonna talk about that I'm just gonna say I don't like it a lot. I don't hate it or I don't dislike it, but I just don't like it either. The only importance I can speak about this stand is that it highlighted the stands of Bruno and Abakio. That's basically it. I have nothing else to say about this stand. The ability, I guess it's alright, but just nothing special. I don't like it a lot, personally. Next up, we have Sex Pistols. I don't think anyone can dislike this stand because this stand is just amazing. It adds so much personality to Mista. It's so fun to see on screen. It's so fun to the point that Araki wrote singular personalities for each bullet of the stand. Also skip number 4 to add personality to Mista, and the way that Mista uses it is so satisfying. This might might be the best uses of a stand ever. Absolutely masterful. It's one of those stands that you just have to give it a 10 out of 10. Love it. Craftworks. It's also one of those stands that I don't really have a lot to talk about. I don't really dislike or like this stand. I'm just neutral about it. The only thing I can say it's amazing about the stand is that potential that it has. The villain himself is pretty bland, to be honest, and the fight was amazing, but that's all because of Mista. Nothing about this ability specifically, besides we have shown the potential of it, and it's really simple, to be honest. But still, nevertheless, I love the fight. I love the fight. The fight is amazing, which makes me happy about the stand, so I don't dislike the stand, I'm just neutral about it. Next up, we have Little Feet, which is the stand that can basically make you small. I don't really have any complaints about the stand. The user is okay. I don't really like the user. I don't dislike him either, but I'm neutral about the user. But the stand is really good. Like, I'm not saying that I like the stand a lot, because I honestly don't, but for the story, the purpose that it had, and what it did to the fight that it was featured on, it was amazing. I love it. And especially highlighted a stand that is one of my favorites too, which we're gonna talk exactly after this one, so just leave space for that. Next up, we have Aerosmith by the Part 5 dude, Narancha. I love this stand, and exactly why I like the Little Feet stand, or quote-unquote like, is because how much spotlight or how much shine it gave to Aerosmith. It's amazing. I love it. The way that Narancha used it specifically is beautiful, and it's some of the greatest panels in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. I cannot stress this enough. I love Aerosmith. From the music reference, to the importance that it has to the story, and most importantly, the fights, because the fights that Aerosmith is featured on turn out to be some of my favorite fights from Part 5, so GG. Next up, we have Man in the Mirror. Let me just say something. The design is not really outstanding, but it's okay. I don't dislike it. I like the music reference, Michael Jackson, Man in the Mirror, the song. I get it. I like the standability a lot. Lot. Also, it helped to develop one of my favorite characters from Part 5's main cast, Fugo, which we're gonna talk after this, but I don't really like the way that the user uses the stand. That's my biggest complaint with the stands. Other than that, it's one of the greatest minor villain stands from the first half of Vento Auero. I just don't like the way that the user uses the stand, if that makes sense. Other than that, absolutely masterpiece. Great ability, great song reference, okay design. It helped to create or to develop one of my favorite characters. That's pretty much it. Purple Haze, which is one of my favorite stands from Part 5 as well. From the Jimi Hendrix song reference to the user, Fugo, which by the way I made the character analytics on, which I went deep into Purple Haze as a stand as well, which you probably should have checked, or should check if you haven't. This is one of my favorite stand abilities because of two simple facts. One, what this adding to the list makes that every single Passion member, not Passion itself as a whole, but by Passion member I mean every single member from Bruno's gang, has a good stand. Amazing stands. Second, great design. Third, great music reference. 4, amazing power. 5th, it has the psychological element of Fugo, as well as the first stand in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures that directly is not just a gift but also a curse to the user. It has a psychological element to it, and it's really complex and amazingly written. I love it. Also, the fight that it's used on, which is by the way one fight in the whole of Vento Auero, that fight is amazing too. Next up, we have the stands Beach Boys. This is also one of the stands that I love a lot. From the music reference to the user to the importance in the story, I love it. It is one of those stands that is a really simple stance in concept, but with the psychological development of the user itself, it gets so complex and it has a lot of potential. This might be one of my favorite stands that are minor villain stands since Whole Horse, and that means a lot to me. Patch is an amazing character. I just love Beach Boy. Also the music reference as well from the rock band. Good stuff, Araki. Good stuff. Next up, we have the Grateful Dead. Anything, or basically say everything I can say about Beach Boy applies to the Grateful Dead as well. I love it as well. Everything about it. As I mentioned on my top 5 JoJo fights video, Bruno's gang versus the Grateful Dead and Beach Boy is my favorite fight from Part 5 and one of my favorite JoJo fights period. So that should tell a lot about this stand and the previous stand as well. Love it. Next up, we have Babyface with the user Melon. This is the only stand in this list that I don't have anything to say. The only comment I can make about this stand is strange. I don't know if I'm supposed to like it or dislike it. I'm supposed to hate it or love it. I'm just nowhere with this stand. I don't know what to say, honestly. Like, honestly, this stand got me like effed up. sure. The only thing I can mention is that the fight with Giorno is amazing, and also the R&B singer Babyface reference which Araki did is also amazing. The rest is just no comment, I guess. I don't know, man, this stand is just something else. Next up we have White Album. If you are one of those people that don't understand why White Album is such an overpraised stand, let me explain why. It's because it's a revolutionary stand. It revolutionized how stands work, or better say, the designs of the stands itself, because it's something that is literally on your body, or the user's body. It's something that revolutionized JoJo stands as a whole. The ability is really cool. I like the music references, the Beatles White Album. The user is pretty cool as well, and the best thing about this stand is easily the fight. I like this as well. Let's talk about King Crimson, which is the main ability of the main villain of JoJo's Bizarre Adventures Part 5 Golden Wind, Diablo/Dopio. I don't really have a lot to say about this, not because I don't have to, but because I don't want to, because I want to save it for my Diablo video. But what I can say about it right now, it has the best, well, one of the best, because it might just be second or third best, but one of the best designs of any villain stand in JoJo. One of the best power, one of the best psychological element to it, which is probably the strongest thing about King Crimson. Now, I will probably just make a 10-second joke and transition to the next stand, but I'm not gonna do that. I'm just gonna transition to the next stand, because it's getting old. It just works. Next up, we have Clash. All I'm gonna say about this stand is that it has a cool ability. I literally have nothing else to add to this stand, honestly. I really like the comedic part with Narancia and the stand, and the interaction between Narancia and the team, but besides that, there's nothing else to add to this stand. Next up, we have Talking Heads. As well as Clash, I really like the ability and the way it's used, and the comedic part of it as well. That's pretty much it. That's all I gotta say. There's nothing to say about the design, there's nothing to say about the user specifically. Sure, the users are kinda cool, but I'm saving that for another video as well, so there's just nothing to say about that. Transition. Next stand. Next up, we have the Notorious B.I.G., which is also a really cool stand, and I really like this one. I'm really positive about this one. I don't have anything to say about the user, but I guess there are theories about it which make the user pretty depressing or get really deep into the psychological element of him, but I'm not gonna get to that. I'm just gonna talk about the stand. I'm gonna save that for the users like video, which, spoiler alert, I'm gonna do a video about that one too. The stand has a really cool power. The power is really related to the music rap, the Notorious B.I.G., which is one of my favorite rappers, if not my favorite. Maybe not my favorite, but one of my favorites for sure. All I can say about this one is that I really like it. It's the stand that never got defeat. That just sounds so cool. I love it. See, by my expressions, maybe you cannot see my expression. I love this stand. I love this stand. It's amazing. Good job, Araki. Next up, we have Spice Girl. I love the music reference, I love the design, and I love Trish character development. The power is meh to me. I don't really have a personal enjoyment to the power itself, but other than that, I really can't say that I love the stand or I really like the stand, but it's cool. It's cool. It's not bad, that's for sure. The next stand user, or the next stand, is Metallica, which, by the way, is my favorite stand from La Squadra. I love this so much because it has some of the greatest panels in screen. I don't really have an opinion about the design because it's not really stable. I really like the user, like really like the user, and this is one of those cases where I'm really like perfectly satisfied with the way that the user uses the stand. Like, that's one of the rare cases that I'm perfectly satisfied. Love it. Absolutely love it. One of my favorite stands from Part 5. Next up, we have Green Day. I really like the ability. I really like the design. I mean, the basic like idea of the design, don't get me wrong on this one. And I really like Giorno's character development in this fight. I can't really say I like the user though. That's something else. Next up, we have Oasis, which, by the way, has presented one of the greatest fights in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures. I like the design a lot, but I like the design for White Album as well. This is also one of the stands that is beloved because of the revolutionary element to it, but also, I like the stand user. I can't say I dislike him either, but my point is that this stand has a really cool plot to it. If you read the manga, or when you're gonna watch the anime, you're gonna see that. I love it. Next up, we have Silver Chariot. Well, exactly, Silver Chariot Requiem, by the user John Polnareff by part 3, which I'm going to talk about Silver Chariot there. But Silver Chariot Requiem is the first Requiem ability in JoJo's Bizarre Adventures, and it's kind of a unique one because it's not a full Requiem. It's kind of half, but more than that, and it really presented a cool idea. I like the Freaky Friday Soul Switch thing, but it just doesn't click for me a lot. But all I can say is the design is fucking amazing. I cannot dislike the user never, because Polnareff is my guy. The ability is really cool as well, and I guess for the importance and the thematic that it needed in part 5, at the specific time that it was introduced, and at the specific time that it was written on, for the specific reason that it needed to be written on, it's perfect. It is perfect. I like it. Next up we have Golden Experience Requiem, which also I don't want to talk a lot about because I want to save it for a specific video just for this stand, but it's the most broken ability, like not broken ability, but it's the strongest JoJo stand period. Great design. I don't want to say anything else because I want to save it for a video, honestly. And I know there is another stand, Rolling Stones, but also I'm not going to talk about that because that's for another video too. I know you go blue balled at the end, but I don't care. Thank you for watching this video. I hope you enjoyed. Check my editor in the description below, as I mentioned in the beginning of the video. Don't forget to do that. Make sure to follow me on Twitter because I'm really active there. Make sure to join my Discord server because fun things go around there. And most importantly of them all, make sure to subscribe, on notifications on, like, comment. Have a nice day. Adinplore is signing out until next time.
We go back.